Hello, everybody. I hope all is well with you. I am Demetra Kaye of the Demetra Kaye Show here on YouTube, where you can find me Sunday through Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. And you can find me right here on the African Diaspora News Channel, Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Okay, so write it down, so you never forget. Nevertheless, we are going to be talking about the ICE raids in a sense, not really, but something that I saw a white woman saying. I think she was talking some good stuff, but we're going to break it down. But basically, ICE raids made a white woman realize they must give up their privilege to help fight white supremacy. And we've already known that, right? That's something they got to get rid of. It's not something we have to get rid of because we did not create it, right? So, of course, we're going to get into all of that. Now, of course, you guys also know we have an app, African Diaspora News Channel app that we have made just for you, from us, and all that in between, right? Now, of course, you're not going to hear anything about us like you need to from the mainstream media. They're going to give you a little bit, but it usually is going to be negative, about us being a boogeyman somewhere. That's what they do, right? But here you're going to get the news you can use. You're going to hear from our perspective. You're going to hear us in a positive light. And sometimes we talk about things that are negative, but we're going to turn it around and make it positive, right? Give solutions and a whole host of things. So if you're wondering where you can find that app, you can go to your Google or Play Store, your Apple, whatever it is on your phone, and download that app. And for those of y'all who already have it, thank you so much. Love and appreciate you. But those of y'all who don't have it, what are you waiting for, right? Again, we do not own this platform. They allow us to use it, and we are so grateful for that. But if they decide that, hey, they want to close up shop, right? Where would you find us? So we have to start thinking like that. Let's put investments, money, whatever it is, into our own platforms, because at this point, we have no excuses. We have no more excuses left as to why we don't support our own. As I always say, I'm going to kind of pocket watch a little bit and get into your business. If you have a Netflix, a Hulu, or, whatever else you have, and you don't have an African Diaspora News Channel app, I'm looking at you sideways. Anyway, let's see. Who do we have on here before we get started? Giving everybody else just another moment. Cheek Sim, how you doing? And I'm going to read your comments when I come back to it. McQueen, what's going on with you? Oneida, what's up? Mike, how you doing? Mike, nice in the building. I always love to see you here. You're my wonderful moderator on my channel. And 922, what's going on? He says, I'm sick of it. Me too. Sister Sunlight, how you doing? Are you still drinking a little wine? I know you were drinking a little wine yesterday. Carvin, how you doing? And let's see, Lashana, rather, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And Maggie, and I think, and Ministry, I hope I said that right. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it for the sake of time. All right. As you guys may or may not know, and it's been all over the news for about a week now, right? I think it happened a week ago. There was a white woman by the name of Renee Good, who unfortunately lost her life in Minneapolis, Minnesota, due to being in the middle of an ICE raid. Somehow she got in the middle of that ICE raid. We do not know. There's speculation, but why she was really there, we don't know. But we know that there was an ICE raid going on that particular street there in Minnesota. And it sounds like her wife told her to drive down that street after she dropped off the 6-year-old child that she had there. And somehow she ended up in the middle of the street. And unfortunately, an ICE agent put a bullet in her forehead and the rest of her car, taking her life. And so from that point, there's been mayhem all over Minnesota and all over the country, just to be quite honest. And I've even seen some things from the rest of the world. Of course, you guys know that the FIFA World Cup games are supposed to be here. Now, I've seen some pretty prominent people, I guess, tweet and make posts basically saying that they're selling their FIFA tickets. They're not coming to the United States because the United States is not safe. A lot of them are saying from different countries, I might get, gaffled up by ICE, so America's not safe right now. That's the narrative that they're putting out due to what happened to this white woman. Of course, there's a lot of back and forth, whether she deserved it or whether she didn't deserve it, whether she was really trying to run into the ICE agent. People are pondering that. I guess we'll know eventually. Of course, we know that the Trump administration, along with Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Defense, says, well, she's a leftist terrorist. She's out there terrorizing. She's in the way. She got what she got. The agent is in the clear. He did nothing wrong, right? I'm just giving you all the perspectives. Okay. So let's remove her and RP to her. Okay. So again, from that point, there's been a lot of conversation online and everywhere, right? In regards to this white woman. Now, I should also say that there was a brother, Keith Porter, in Los Angeles, who also had his life taken from him by an ICE agent who was off duty, who lived in his apartment building. He heard Keith letting some up in the air on New Year's Eve, rather. And he, being or she, ICE agent, whoever it is, thought they were in danger. So they say, right, left the confines of their home and took his life. So I just want to mention Keith Porter because I'm never going to mention Renee Good and not mention Keith Porter because he was minding his business, right? I don't know what she was doing out there. All right. So again, there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of epiphanies going on where people are waking up and saying, wow, if they'll do that to her, nobody's safe. Well, it's like, well, nobody has been safe. They just happen to see that happen to a white woman. So anyway, I'm going to show you a video of a white woman that was like, yo, we got a lot of things to think about. So here we go.
So you can't be a good white person and put your body in between them trying to kidnap a brown person or harm a black person. When you do that, you lose your proximity to whiteness and you lose the benefits that come along with it. That's the cost. We're all acting so shocked that they murdered a white woman. Well, see, she wasn't a good white. She was out there advocating for brown people, so she lost her proximity to whiteness. This is the work of dismantling white supremacy. This is what it's going to cost. It's time for some radical acceptance. Because they've been out there killing black and brown people for hundreds of years. And people who looked like me were having picnics under black bodies as they blew in the breeze after they'd been lynched. And then 6 years ago, when they kneeled on George Floyd's neck, we all put a black picture in our Instagram, acting as if that were enough. In order to dismantle white supremacy, we have to be willing to lose the benefits of whiteness. Means they kill us too. That's what that means. And it's time for some radical acceptance about that, guys. That's what it's going to take to dismantle white supremacy, is losing the benefits of the system. So we can't be so shocked as white people continue to die. Because we weren't this shocked when black and brown people were dying. Because we expected it. Not because we weren't grieving, but we expected it, right? You should expect it. We have to lose the benefits of the system if we want to tear the system down. White supremacy has been killing black and brown folks. And it's not going to go down without a fight. So if you lose your proximity to white supremacy and whiteness, you will lose the safety that goes along with it.
Amen and amen and amen. Can we get a hallelujah? She's 100% right. They have to be willing to lose their privilege and in some cases their life, right? Now, of course, she's thinking things over, obviously, due to what happened to Renee Good there in Minnesota. And she's like, if you put yourself as a white person in a way to try to protect black and browns from what she said, then you end up in trouble because you're not considered a good white. So what I want to do is I want to do like a timeline, because while that white woman is speaking truth to power, I want to illustrate how white women have been complicit in white supremacy. But before we do that, I want to acknowledge what she said, and I'm going to put this up. Now, many of y'all know who this is. That is, he was rather John Brown, who was an abolitionist, to say the least, right? There's a day that he was born and a day that he died. Now, of course, in between there, the dash, right? He went on to fight against the institution of slavery. He did not feel that it was right. He had a few beliefs rather that led him to eventually try to do a revolt. Well, when he was a young boy in Ohio, he knew a slave boy who he saw, and they became friends, but he saw how horribly he was treated, said he was beaten, and just treated horribly, all of his life that he knew him, right? And then, of course, his religious beliefs. He grew up in a very religious household where they thought that slavery was a sin. So along with those things, he felt like God was leading him to try to get rid of the institution of slavery. So and he had 20 kids. I was doing some research. I'm like, wow, he had 20 kids. But in 1855, he got together with one of his sons, and then they tried to do a revolt or something like that in Kansas City, Missouri, because he was like, wherever there's slavery, I'm going to be there trying to get rid of it. Now, October 16th, he took 21 men, 5 of them being black and 16 of them being white, and they tried to do a run on an arsenals in Virginia somewhere, arsenal of weapons and things, but they got caught. Nevertheless, he was put to death. But before he was put to death, he was like, I knew, and he didn't regret it at all, right? But he says, I knew it would take some bloodshed to try to get rid of this evil, right? This horror of slavery and what has been done to Black people. And he was like unapologetic. He's like, I do it again. I knew eventually this would be the cost or whatever it is. Frederick Douglass met him once, and he says, yes, he appears to be white, but he has the sympathy of a Black man because he had no problem, laying his life down to try to get rid of what people that look like him were doing. And of course, they considered him to be a traitor and all kind of stuff. And they also said that he, in a sense, kicked off the Civil War because now you had all these militias that were like, oh my God, if he is helping, the slaves try to, do away with white folks, good white folks, right, in their sleep, well, then we got a serious problem. So they say that he and what he was trying to do is in part what kicked off the Civil War. Of course, that was between the South and the North. South wanted to keep slavery. The North was like, we don't want slavery. Of course, I guess, thank God, the North won. So I just kind of wanted to mention him because he came up as she was talking about, you're not a good white if you try to help Blacks or whatever it is. So that's John Brown, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of times when we talk about slavery, we don't mention those like John Brown's, who was like, yeah, I'm about that life. We ride at dawn. He tried to, but it didn't work out. Nevertheless, now I want to talk about white women and the white privilege that they benefited from, right? Because now it's good that they're trying to speak out against it and all that, but it's like, nah, homegirl, you got to own some of this, right? Because a lot of this white privilege and white supremacy was done on your behalf. Let's see, because I made a lot of illustrations. I put these together myself. I just want y'all to know that, right? Okay, let's start here. Now, I call this Miss Ann's privilege. What is Miss Ann's privilege? Y'all probably thinking, what in the world is that? Now, y'all know we call Miss Ann, a white woman, Miss Ann, especially back then, Miss Ann, right? Well, that is an illustration of a plantation. As you can see there's Massa. He's standing there on the porch, and the, slave woman, she's looking like, oh, okay, what? And there's Miss Ann, and she's watching it all go down. Well, you know what her privilege was? She had a lot of them, but this one particular comes to mind, is that a lot of times when Miss Ann did not want to do with her husband, or, she didn't want to just do that, she says, you go out there to her. You go out there to the slave woman, because again, they didn't think of slaves as people, right? Our ancestors were considered product, chattel, nothing, right? So when old funky slave master wanted to do something, strange and unusual, his wife was like, you're not going to do that with me. Because in a sense, that was seen to defile. Oh, we don't want to defile the white woman. So he went out there and he defiled even more so, right? Because again, the slave woman, she didn't have no say so. And so those things that Miss Ann did not want him to do to her, she said she told him. It wasn't like he was always out there creeping like a fox in the hen house. She said, hey, you go out there and do all that nasty stuff to her. So she allowed it. And that, in a sense, was privilege. She got to tell her husband, no, you ain't finna use them things because that's not what that's for. You go do that with her, right? So she's got to own some of that, right? Because right now, yes, we've seen all these white women that coming to the internet and like, oh my God, look what they did to that white woman. It's terrible. We've got to give up our privileges. Like, now you think you got to give it up, right? Because they see that they're not absolved from what, the massa in the White House of Washington wants to do, right? If the white woman gets in the way, then she gets one to the face. All right. So that was Miss Ann's privilege, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so what else do we have here? Because I got quite a few things I want to show you. How about here? That is Jim Crow. Now, as you can see there, you see Birth of a Nation. It's playing there on one side, and then you got a bunch of white women there talking about vote for women, and a whole host of things. This is supposed to depict Jim Crow. Now, some of y'all are saying, okay, well, what do these white women asking for votes got to do with Jim Crow? Well, that white woman, led by, there's a few of them, but Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady, they were part of the women's suffrage movement. Now, and we consider that to be the first wave of feminism, right? These women, they're, we want rights. Now, at that time, they wanted some other things, but they mostly wanted the right to vote because they could not vote. Black men could vote, right? During Reconstruction, the 1870s, there was a lot of black men in positions of power, like politics and things like that. But that white woman was like, wait a minute now, hold up. I'm a good white woman, okay? Surely I'm better than any black man walking the United States anyway, right? How is it that I, being a good white woman, I can't vote, but this black man could vote? And that's partially and probably mostly how the white woman was able to vote, because she threw the black man under the bus and she appealed to the consciousness, I say that lightly, right, of her man, and says, don't you love us? Do you think the black man is better than me? And so, in a sense, the white man was like, well, we don't think nothing of you really, but since you put it like that, yeah, we'll give you the rights to vote. But a lot of times, too, when we talk about feminism, we don't break it down like that. Those white women were just as racist. Even, some of the black women that were out there with them, even during that time, they were a body count as well. Now, of course, that's the white woman. Her, as far as the suffrage movement, her being complicit in the white supremacy. Now, of course, we go to the Birth of a Nation, a movie that was made by D.W. Griffin, 1920s or something like that. It was shown in the White House by Woodrow Wilson. It was a movie depicting black men being the evil one, right? And they're after these white women. They want to take the white women's purity. And so they had a man run around in blackface. And so this movie was showing, and it was, basically the KKK must rise and ride again. Again, they did that at the behest of the white woman. And she was like, yes, you're right. We are, you need to protect us, right? Now, another time during that time, there were certain recreational things that people could use, okay? Whether it was opium, marijuana, and the coca, if you know what I mean, right? Those things were legal. Sigmund Freud, he was delving in a lot of that stuff. It was legal. Well, somehow, somewhere, white supremacy was like, well, when black men, and they said the Chinamen, right? That's what they call them, the Chinamen. When they do these things, that's going to make them want white women in a way they shouldn't want these white women. And do you know that was mostly, I would say, the justification for outlawing those recreational things, because they thought that these black monsters and these Chinese men, they were going to go and jump out of the bush on a white woman. Now, the white woman knew that. And she said, you're right. You must make it illegal. And then, they dropped crack off into our neighborhoods, and y'all know the rest of that. But yeah, the white woman was complicit in a lot of what white supremacy was doing to everybody else. She wasn't a victim. She was there in lockstep, agreeing with all of that. Okay, so let's see. Where else are we going to go? I'm going to take that down. How about here? We'll go here, right? Black towns terrorized. Now, of course, that's depicting Black Wall Street. Of course, we know in 1921, a white mob decided that they could not take the jealousy that was eating at them every day because there was a black town where black folks was doing black great things, building and owning and operating great black businesses, just being great, right? And somehow a white woman came into the mix, accused a black man of trying to do something to her on the elevator. And those white men, they mounted up and they got together with some other white men in surrounding towns. And they say a white woman has been violated. And of course, we know for about 3 days or so, they terrorize and tore up the whole black town right now. In Tulsa, right, Greenwood, there is a plaque that basically commemorates Black Wall Street. Those people never got any of the land back, the businesses, nothing. Mother Viola Ford Fletcher just recently passed. I think there's one survivor of what happened there at Black Wall Street, and they've been asking for reparations and never have gotten it. They've gotten a whole bunch of no's, right? But I say that about Black Wall Street because it was a white woman, and she was all right with it then, right? She didn't say that really didn't happen. If she did, we never heard about it, right? She never said, oh, no, it was a mistake. It didn't happen, right? And then some people said they think they was going together. I don't want to delve into rumors, but she didn't say, no, don't do that. That didn't happen. Of course, we know in Rosewood, the same thing happened. And a lot of our towns were destroyed due to a white woman. So again, while the woman in the video is saying we got to be ready to lose our privilege, yeah, but we're not going to forget. Let's not act brand new. Like you didn't have anything to do with this white privilege and what is being done. I know she referenced brown people, but today right here, we talking about black people, right? And what happened to black people, the white woman was okay with it. All right, let's remove that, okay? She was complicit in a whole lot of black towns being destroyed, all right? Now, I think you guys know who this person is. Yes, that's Carolyn Bryant. To say Bryant, right? I made these, right? And I make mistakes, okay? That wasn't AI, that was me. So let's just say Carolyn Bryant Dunham. Of course, you know that she was the white woman that I guess said that Emmett Till, 14-year-old, whistled at her one day on the street in Money, Mississippi. And she told her husband, word got back to her husband that some little black boy whistled at her, whether he did or not, I don't know. And then that night, her husband and his homies, they went and knocked on the door of his cousins and uncle's house and dragged him out of there in the middle of the night. It was in the 1950s, 1955, I believe it was. They didn't know where he was for a minute, and then they found his body. Of course, you know, his mother decided to have an open casket funeral because he was so disfigured, right? And a lot of people advised her against it, say, don't do that. No, you don't want the world or people to see that. And she goes, no, you're wrong. I want the world to see the face of racism, okay? So she did. She had an open casket, she being Mamie Till, Emmett's mother. She allowed the world to see. You can go and look on the internet now and see those very grotesque, not that Emmett was grotesque, but what white supremacy did to him. Well, white supremacy did that to him at the behest of a white woman who says she was the victim of being whistled at. She wasn't touched. He didn't say, the allegations, right? He wasn't alleged of doing anything or say anything grotesque to her. Allegedly, he whistled, and she thought that was a death sentence, and it was, okay? Now, with that, Carolyn Bryant passed away, 2-3 years ago at this point, and there's a whole lot of white women back in the 50s and all the way up until the time she passed knew that she was on the easy street. Nobody was trying, when I say nobody, her people weren't trying to hold her accountable. They know the lies she told. And what happened to Emmett kicked off, in a sense, the civil rights movement, right? That was considered to be like, okay, enough type thing. A lot of white women knew that. And I don't remember any white women. Now, I'm not saying they didn't. I don't remember and don't recall any white women saying, hey, Carolyn Bryant needs to be held accountable for lying. But what happened? She got to go off onto, I'm thinking she went down there. I don't think she went to glory. Because something in me just don't want to believe that she was welcome to the pearly gates, if there's such a thing. But she was allowed to live, I think, into her 80s, right? As a free woman. not being held accountable. We know that there's a lot of administrations all the way from the time that she did it to the Biden administration, where they're the ones that finally close the door and say, nope, we're not going to revisit this. We're not going to bring her to justice. She says she didn't do it, even though in the book she says she did do it, but she recanted. So they're like, there's nothing here. So in a sense, she got away with it, but in a way she didn't, because I know there's a lot of people like the new Black Panther Party under Malik Shabazz. They did not let her rest. Every time she moved, they was moving right with her, right? They was like, hello, it's me. Oh, yes, you need to be held accountable. And her people are like, just leave her alone. And they was like, no. So I'd like to think she didn't get a moment's rest. I'd also like to think that every night when she closed her beady eyes, that she saw Emmett Till in her sleep, just standing there looking at her and saying, I know what you did. I know what you did last summer, right? So again, there's a white woman who benefited from white supremacy, because all it took was a whistle to put Emmett Till at the bottom of a lake. Okay, now y'all know we could be here forever, but we not. I got one more illustration I want to show you. That is the white woman being the biggest beneficiary of affirmative action and DEI, right? As you see, there is a white hand giving her a preferential boost. Everybody else, the Black woman, and whatever woman this is, and I think the Black woman should be behind her, right? Because the Black people are like 5 or 6 on the list of beneficiaries of DEI and affirmative action, but the white woman has always been the biggest benefactor, or beneficiary rather, of all of those things, right? And even to this moment, I don't know, she might be saying something now, but she never said, well, I know these things were made for Black people in the 1960s, but I've been benefiting from it, right? We've been saying it's for Black people. In fact, I've watched my man in the White House and everywhere else blame Black people for being the benefactor, or beneficiary rather, of affirmative action and DEI, but it's been me. But I've been quiet this whole time, like I always have, right? If I'm the white woman, that's my white woman illustration, if you will. She's always been silent. All the things that I've showed you, she's always been silent, as her man will run roughshod through Black folks in any way, shape, and form, using her as the reason to do it. Again, DEI, she knew, I would think she knew that she is the biggest beneficiary, because as Dr. Claude Anderson would always tell us, hey, these things, they were meant for us, right? We even saw Ann Coulter, who's a big time right-wing conservative white woman. So maybe we'll give her some credit. But those things were meant for us, but we didn't get to use it. Everybody else has gotten to use it. Even recently, we saw the Asians, they went with Attorney Edward Blum to the United States Supreme Court and say, hey, we're not getting the benefits of affirmative action because of Black people. When they should have really been talking about the Edward Blum's woman, the white woman. She's the one that's been soaking up all the benefits. But I say all that to say, yes, I'm glad that we're now starting to see white women and some other white men, I talk about it a lot here, come to the table and say, yeah, this white privilege ain't working out. Because now we getting pew-pew to the face in broad daylight on camera, like she said, with George Floyd. Everybody got to see that over and over and over and over again. Derek Chauvin with a knee to his neck. Now people are getting to see over and over and over and over again a white woman having her life taken from her by the same system that was designed to keep Black people down in our place, because that system wasn't designed for her. But now the system is like, hey, white woman, you in the way. Because why are you out here getting in the way of ICE activities, right? Again, they're out there trying to find illegal immigrants, although they're doing some other things. I saw one was out there in Minneapolis soliciting a 17-year-old. That's a different story, right? But they're like, they being her man, why are you out here? You in the way. You're impeding progress. They deem getting all these illegal immigrants out of here progress, and you're in the way, so you're collateral damage. Now, the Republicans and the MAGA and those people, they're not even calling her a white woman. They're referencing her as a leftist. Oh, she's a leftist lunatic. She's a this and she's a that. But they're not really saying she's a white woman. But It's mostly the Black Democrats who are saying this white woman, oh, white woman, a white woman. So again, while that white woman was speaking truth to power in the beginning, they got to own a lot of the things that they sat by and co-signed and were complicit in. They knew their husband was riding at dawn with pitchforks and those little funky, white robes and pointy hats that they made for them. They knew that. They were, oh, there's a hole in your hood, right? So they was sewing it up. So I always like to do a solution. What's the solution? The solution is let them do them. So they do them, right? Let white folks, let that white woman go out there and get rid of white supremacy and slash up her white, privilege card. Let her get rid of that and go say, hey, we've been benefiting this long and we need to dismantle it. And even as she said, right? Even if it costs us our life, we got to be willing to give up our supremacy. So let them do that. You go, white woman, you go do the voodoo that you do so well. And we do us. Well, what does that mean, Demetra? That means everything that we've been asked to do. From Marcus Garvey. I know he's not Black American, but I'm just saying because a lot of his ideology influenced what we see and what we think and do today as Black people here in America. Okay, he says, up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. You had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan with the Nation of Islam that say do for self. You have Dr. Claude Anderson, who has said and is saying, I know he's getting up there, but we must practice group economics. We need to make sure that our community is together. So while that white woman's got her cape on and she's going out there to get rid of white supremacy, maybe she'll influence her man. We got to do the things we're supposed to do, right? Because those things are going to help us get reparations. And back to that, yeah, the white woman's been knowing ever since they told our ancestors that you were going to get a 40 acres and a borrowed mule, right? We wasn't going to get the mule. They was going to let us borrow it. And they decided that we weren't going to get that. She knew that. She hears the conversation about reparations and she's, ain't got nothing to do with me. We weren't slaves. So yeah, if you really want to help us, go tell your man, get up off the money. Let up off the purse strings and write a check for reparations, right? But again, we got things that we need to be doing in our community. We got to focus on us and let them handle them. So anyway, I'm going to get into the comment section. I hope that when I say we, I mean all of us learn something because, I'll be having to do some research to bring this stuff to you. And I'll be like, word, I didn't know all of that. Some of it I did, but some of it I didn't. Anyway, okay, I'm going to go back to y'all comments and I appreciate y'all. There's a lot of comments. I'm going to get to as many of them as I can. All right. So Chico Slim, you say to see a Caucasian person give up their seniority that they think they have over other people. Yeah, well, we also know it's the false idea of white supremacy because they're not really more superior than we are. They just taught us that they were, right? And they made us to believe that they're more superior, but they're not, right? Superior people. Yeah, certain things they made us do, but if you're superior, why didn't you go pick your own cotton? Or get people to look like you to do it. You're not superior. It's a false idea. And we need to understand that. It's not what they think it is. Mike says, Caucasians didn't just realize anything. They have been millions of people on the line from day one fighting against this. If you draw the same lines they do, we will fall together. All right, I can dig it. Let's see who else. And Carvanac, he said, now you see the racism of the Trump administration. Yeah, I see it of the Trump administration. I saw it of the Biden administration. I even saw it in the Obama administration. I saw it in the Clinton administration. I saw it in the Reagan administration. I saw it in the Carter administration. And that's as far as I could go back because that's when I really started thinking and knowing about politics when Carter was president in the 70s, as I was born in 1971. So when my parents would watch the news, I would hear about what was going on and the gas shortages and things like that. I lived those things. So yeah, I learned about the racism in all the administrations. Yeah, I said Obama, because even though Obama looked Black, he sure did legislate with a lot of racism, didn't he? Benign neglect of Black Americans. So yeah, I see it in all administrations. There's not one that's more racist. Is there one that's more out in the open? Oh yes, Trump and them. He's unapologetic about the racism, but they've always been racist. Let's see. And he says, well, I'm never backing down because we always win. Children of the Most High God. You better tell somebody. Yes, indeed. So let's see who else. Quentin, how you doing? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Willie, what's going on with you? Mr. DJ Bob, how you doing? Says you can't see me over here. Do you want me to see you? I don't know. Bro Goo, how you doing? Official Mac Neal, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. I'm just skipping down. Zudea, I hope I said that right. Shalom to you as well. Lashana says, I'm in Minnesota and ICE is in my area, which is an hour and a half away. They are deep. Yes, they sent 2,000, I guess, ICE agents last week, and it sounds like Trump and them sent some more. So they really getting gangster out there as people are fighting them back. So yeah, Corey, how you doing? Says, I hope the Black Americans in Minnesota is with ICE. You know, I was kind of thinking about that earlier. I see a lot of people saying, I'm with ICE. I'm not with ICE. I'm not against ICE. Does that make any sense? Because, you know, ICE at the end of the day is the po-po. They're the po-po. They're a different type of police in a sense, the federal agents, but I'm not with ICE. I'm not about to be out there against ICE either. Does that make any sense? Because I see a lot of people saying I'm with ICE. It's like, yeah, ICE is a part of the same institution that does Black Americans dirty on a regular basis. So I don't know. Oneida says she should have complied, and they were following ICE to stop them from taking illegals off the street. Yes, that's the word on the street. While Davis, how you doing? Will Davis rather says Black Americans stay out the way. Absolutely. African Native, what's going on with you? Hope you're doing well. I am conceited. How you doing? It says all this is funny to me because us Black folks been telling y'all, yeah, you know, but now they're, you know, nothing wakes a person up more than a pew pew to the dome. And I say that respectfully. Because when you see that live and in living color, that'll rearrange your understanding about a whole lot of things you've been watching go on with other people. And you thought, like you said, they changed their profile to Black, you know, in solidarity with what happened to George Floyd, and as they're in the confines of their homes watching the news and saying, oh, isn't that a shame? Oh, that's awful. But then when they see that happen to a white woman, they're like, wait a minute. You mean a good white woman? Yeah, she's not off limits either. If she's getting in the way of the agenda, whatever that is, you know. Miss Sweets, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Jenny Cat, what's going on with you? Lilith, how you doing? Robin, what's going on with you? You said she's right, talking about the woman. What? Queen says payback is hell, Snow Bunny. McQueen, you say, and now it's the boomerang effect. Whatever they throw comes back fast. Yeah, that's boomerang. That's karma, is what you do on the others. You know, will come back to you and all that. That's the laws of the universe. You can't do, you know, especially horrible things and think, I'm not going to get that back. You'll get it back. That's why they tell you to throw good things into the universe. So those good things will come back to you. That's how it works. Miss Incognito, how you doing? Says, oh, wow. Octavius, what's going on? Says working class white males are the stupidest people in America. Why so? If you don't mind me asking, why would you say that? Trob, how you doing? Since I said this on day one, what took so long? Yeah, we should have been listening to you since you've been saying it on day one, and that white woman, you know, should have been listening to you. Willie says it sounds like the chickens are coming home to roost. Yeah, sounds like. BB, what's going on with you? Says they don't have to lose any benefits. They were unearned anyway. They have to stop taking ours away. Yeah, taking ours away and being all right with it. Again, that white woman, she was lockstep with her man. She was all right with it then, but now you saying that even y'all, I mean, even the way, especially the Republicans, they're legislating against white women. Because white women, you know, they end up with a baby and they don't want that baby. They're like, now we can't go get rid of it. But that's her man doing that, right? Because her man is like, yeah, y'all gonna have these babies because this our planet, especially United States, is turning browner. And we need y'all to have these babies. And so the white man don't really care about their woman like that anyway. The white man is like, you gonna do what we say do, or we gonna make you by law, right? So yeah. Okay, skipping down. African Native says, I think I showed up purposely. He says for her, she was pre-targeted. I don't know. It remains to be seen. Again, we don't even know how that lady got in the middle of the street other than her wife told her to drive down there. Now I bet she regretting that. Because why would you have her drive down the street where it's getting gangster? Don't make any sense. Kenneth, how you doing? Well, thank you. I appreciate you for that. Richard, how you doing? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that as well. Barbara Born. I hope I said that right. He says, and how you doing? It says nothing to do with God. Lincoln was losing. So he emancipated black men. Black men won the Civil War for the North. Yeah, I'm not discounting black men. I don't even think I said nothing like that. I said that John Brown felt like God would have wanted him to try to abolish slavery, even if it meant via bloodshed. That's what I said. I'm just telling you where from what they're saying, because that was like 1859 where he died. So I wasn't there to talk to him personally, but that's the word on the street, is that's what led him to try to do a revolt. It didn't sound like it worked, but he was on the way to do it. So yeah, we know that there's a lot of black men who helped. You know, they were fighting on the side of the Confederacy, and I guess there was some in the North as well. But I'm sure they was fighting to get slavery ended. I'm sure they was, a lot of them in the South was probably fighting, you know, with the North per se. So yeah, General Lovature, how you doing? Says, how I am doing well. I cannot complain. Black Rose, how you doing? Says good. Was also, so you're talking about the Renee Good, was also LGBT that also stand against the right. So that would be more of a reasoning. Yeah. And I don't know that they know she was LGBT. And I guess maybe because the lady, her wife, was saying, that was my wife. You shot my wife. So maybe they did, but did they know that was the case? I don't know. But when they found out, definitely they, you know, didn't feel anything for her even then. Shannon, how you doing? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Let's see. David, how you doing? Says real talk. J-Man, what's going on with you? Let's see. I'm gonna try to get to everybody's comments. Y'all been whooping me lately in the comments. I can't get to the bottom of them. Beverly White, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. Let's see. Richard, he says white supremacy is a psychopathic racism. In a sense, yeah. We've been told in a roundabout way and very, you know, expressly. Scrooge McDuck, how you doing? And Shanti Kim, how you doing? It says having us be like Russia and North Korea. And what do you mean by that, if you don't mind me? I'm skipping down. I see all y'all comments, but y'all know I'm trying to beat the comments section. 1 minute of Black empowerment. Thank you so much for that. Love and appreciate you. Every little bit helps. So everybody who's donated, I just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart from the African Diaspora News Channel. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Who else? And Miss Sweet, she says evil and wicked. He's talking about some of the things I was talking about, right? Darinko, how you doing? Says, I don't believe Bryant is, well, you don't think she dead? She would be like in her 90s if she's still alive. But she says you don't think she's dead because people were stalking her everywhere she moved back in 2024. She had no rest. Look it up. Yeah, I know. I think she gone. But then stranger things have happened. Maybe they moved her into a witness protection program. But I know she'd probably be, you know, close to 90 now, you know. But I don't know. You might be right. Christian, how you doing? Says that evil demon. You talking about Carolyn Bryant. Hey, Pop, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. 1 minute of Black empowerment. Says we say racism, but it's government sanctioned and anti-Black policy. That should be our normal language. Yeah, but I think in short, racism probably will do the trick. Most of us ain't gonna remember all that, but I think most of us, especially Black in America, we know racism firsthand. A lot of us could write a book on the racist interactions and things that have happened to us, but I could dig it. Let's see. McLean says that demon Carolyn lies. She waited until she was old to tell the truth. When she was in Raleigh to Timothy Tyson, he wrote blood done, signed my name. Yeah, I thought it was a different title, but yes, it was something like that. But then when people got wind of her saying that, she's like, I was just kidding. I didn't say that. Yeah, McQueen, it was cancer. But somebody talking about she's still up and around here. Mart, Eddies, is that how you say it? How you doing? Thank you so much for the super sticker. Love it. Appreciate you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Darren, how you doing? Says read the book Without Sanctuary, make you cry. Okay. I got a long list of books I gotta read, but I'll get to maybe one day. Douglas, how you doing? Let's see who else. Miss Sweets, I'm trying. You say teach. Taylor, how you doing? Says I'm minding my own business. Yes, I try to do that. I said 2026 I was going to spend time minding my business, and I think like 2-3 hours into 2026 I found myself in somebody else's business, and I was like, man, I got to start over. But yes, we have to mind our business. Okay, our business, Black American business. We got things that we are supposed to be doing, right? That's the business we need to be minding. Let them people go do what they gonna do. ICE, they not on us right now. I got another topic I'm gonna talk about later on this week with y'all. Really illustrating why we gotta get busy in our community. Albie Chill, how you doing? I hope you're having a great day. Antoinette, what's going on with you? Says Malcolm X, MLK, Nina Simone. And I'm not sure what that's in regards to, but I'm sure what civil rights and things like that, and true writers, all the people who was trying to tell us something. Nina Simone, you know, I've been told that I look like Nina Simone. I don't see it, but I've been told that. Going down. Who else haven't I seen? I would chill. You just got here. He says slow Biden has been a part of every crime bill since the 70s, yet it's still Negroes who turn a blind eye to it and scream orange man bad. Yeah, there's a lot of our people that say, well, Joe Biden said he was sorry. He never said he was sorry. He said he got bad information and he made a mistake, but he never said he was sorry. Just got bad information. Reiki Master V, I hope I said the right. How you doing? Says Obama Sambo hurt the Black community way more than he helped it. Yeah, I don't think there's an argument about that at all, and he was unapologetic about it. So yeah, Global Rejection TV, how you doing? Says white women forgot the white man runs America and she doesn't. Yeah, nah, she, you know, I don't want to say she's a victim, but she ain't really got a lot to say. So like I said, they know she's, you know, one of the ones that get rid of their babies the most, not disproportionately, is Black women, but the white woman, yeah, she up in them clinics, or she was anyway, and white men know that, and so they're like, yeah, we got to whoop her with the pen, the power of the pen, right? Absolutely no deletion of babies under any circumstances, right? Now, if it was just Black women or other women outside that white woman, they'd be like, let her have as many as possible. But so they women is up in there and they like, nah, we got to stop Miss Ann. She got to have these babies. So yeah, Kenneth says she should have listened to the police and got out of the car. But when we get pew pew, nobody says nothing. Yeah, they say you should comply, right? 614, how you doing? Says this is all kinds of crazy. Yeah, it bees like that sometimes. John, how you doing? Says I told my coworker with Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin were unalived, and they wanted to justify you're not safe either. Just wait, they will come to your door next. Yeah, listen, white supremacy is like if you getting in the way of what we trying to do, you know, if we don't care what color you are, you're collateral damage. We'll let people cry over you, but you're not gonna get in the way. So yeah, they have to learn the hard way. Mark, how you doing? Says we're focused on the injustices of our community like everyone else. We are. I don't want to say we're not, but for when I think about focusing, I think about focusing and we're trying to focus to actually get something done, some goals accomplished. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about something. I was actually going to make it a video, or I still might. But I was thinking about Shaun King. Most of y'all know what Shaun King is because a lot of people in our community spent a lot of time dogging him, right? Calling him white, Talcum X, and a whole host of other things. We just dogged that man to no end. And I was thinking about this with my daughter the other day. And I follow Shaun King. I've read his book. I've been to one of his speeches and things like that. And I told my daughter, I said, you notice how Shaun King doesn't even talk about Black folks anymore. Because when Shaun King was talking about, come on now, this ain't me making this up. I want y'all to think about this with me. When Shaun King was on the scene, he's a Muslim now, right? So he's doing things in Islam. But when he was on the scene, we heard about what happened to a lot of Black men and women. He really raised awareness, but white supremacy, they didn't like what he was doing, so they lied and said he was a white man, and he's not a white man. If you read his book, there's plenty of evidence, whether it's police evidence, hospital evidence. There's a whole lot of evidence saying that he's Black and he's white. But white supremacy ran around talking about, oh, Shaun King's a white man. And a lot of us, I say us collectively, we ran off with the talking points of white supremacy. He's white. Oh, he's this, that, and the other. So that he went away. You don't hear the awareness being raised about what happens to Black people in our community like you used to. Ahmaud Arbery, I think that was probably one of the last things that he raised awareness about, because what happened to Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, it happened like months before we knew anything about it. Shaun King heard about it and he, magnified it, because from that point, the three men who took Ahmaud's life, they were getting away with it. The DA was like, oh, it looks like y'all was in the right? We know now that they chased him down and did what they did to him because he was running through a vacant neighborhood where houses were being built, and they thought they would take his life. Not only that, they put it on camera and upload it somewhere, right? But they still were getting away with it. So I say all that to say about Shaun King, I don't blame him. And I don't care if people get mad. You ain't mad at me. You mad at the truth. I don't blame him for going away and going to do other things, because when he was bringing awareness to what was going on to our people, we did him. We probably did him just as bad as white supremacy did. So yeah, we hear about things that happen to people now, but not the way it was when he was around. Bringing awareness to what's going on with Black people. I can't remember the last time I've seen Shaun King even talk about the ills that go on with Black people. See, so in a sense, we gotta, because we get along with white supremacy in regards to bringing down people that are trying to help us. And who is y'all name me somebody, and I ain't talking about your Ben Crumps, okay? I'm not talking about your Lee Marison. I'm not talking bad about them, but I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about the occasional, honorable mention on Twitter from somebody. I'm talking about somebody who was riding and going hard in the paint for what was going on with Black people, and really going about raising awareness, raising money, and a whole host of other things. Name me somebody that's doing that since Shaun King, right? So when you say we're focused on the injustices that's going on in our community, yeah, we might be. We'll mention it, but is that focus, or is that just talking about it? I'm just asking. I know a lot of people probably got mad at me to make you mad. I just want to make you think. That's it. I see that I'm about to run out of time, so let me skip down. Sister Shirley, how you doing? Hebrew Hammer, what's going on with you? Mad Dog in the building. Karima, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, who else haven't I seen? Rock. Oh, I got to the bottom. I can't believe it. Rocks and Roll. How you doing? Says FB. What does that even mean? I'm not gonna read that out loud because I don't want to get in trouble. I know what that means. Albie Chill says absolutely. So you're talking to somebody else. But I got to the bottom. I'm really surprised that I did. But anyway, John says this is a beautiful episode full of truth and actual accountability. Yeah. Don't we want to be held accountable? I tell y'all all the time, for those of y'all who are, I call y'all my family members. I don't like to call you followers at all, right? My family members. I say those who subscribe to me, I don't like accountability. I do, but I'm not something I look forward to type thing. Criticism. If I'm being told that I'm doing something wrong, I don't know if it's the Aries in me or the something else in me. When somebody's trying to hold me accountable, I'm like, me? You mean me? But then the sensible part of me is like, yeah, you did that. You're going to have to own that. Because if we're not held accountable, then we don't grow. I can sit up here and lie to y'all if y'all want me to. I'm not a liar, but I think I can fake it. I can lie to you. I can do what some other people do, not on this platform, right? We tell the truth around here. I could do that, but I don't want to do that. You know why I always say I'm not going to do that? I'm not going to lie and candy coat, because I'm going to be held accountable for that. Oh, yes. I have to sit in this chair and I have to get as close to the truth as possible. It should be the truth, right? I'm never going to intentionally lie and lead you astray. I'm not even going to tell you things that you want to hear. It's got to be the things that we need to hear. And when I say you, I mean me as well. Don't lie to me. Because lying to me is going to make me feel good. It's going to give me a false illusion of what's really going on. Illusion, false, same thing, I guess. But it's going to give me that temporary feel good. Yes, you're right. We're this, we're that. But it's like, okay, let's quit. Let's not lie to kick it. I'm not saying Black Americans are horrible. I know we are all that and then some. We are dope and dynamic and all the things that are great. We are all that. But yeah, we got to take accountability. We don't take accountability, then we're just stuck. We're stuck with fantasies of, yes, we are all that. It's like we are, and we have been, and we should be even more than what we are now. So we got to be accountable. When I say we, I mean me, I mean you. I'll never sit in this chair thinking I'm better than everybody, y'all, you and y'all and you people. Because I see people do that. And I don't do that. Because I'm not perfect. As I always say, I learn a lot from y'all. Hopefully you learn something from me. Hopefully it's not just me up here bumping my gums or whatever it is. It's a learning. And as they say, iron sharpens iron, right? It's a two-edged sword type thing. It cuts both ways. So that's I hope I was making sense, I guess. But anyway, you know what? That's my time. African Native says, do you think those racists regret in their last days? I don't think so. I think some of them do. But I don't know. Some of them might think, forgive me, whatever it is. Something tells me that they've already paid for it. Because a lot of times we think when people leave up out of here and they were horrible people, oh, they got away with it. It's like, did they? Because we don't always know the price that people pay. We think if I didn't see you pay for it, then it means you got away with it. Nah, sometimes you'll never see what they had or what they had to endure because of the things that they've done. A lot of people live quiet lives of desperation, quiet lives of suffering, and a whole host of things they will never tell anybody because of the horrible things that they've done to people and just being a horrible person, right? My grandma used to say, being mean will make you ugly. You see some people that's mean, it's like, ooh. Right? So I don't know. Maybe they suffered that way. I don't know. But I think some of them regret it. They say when people leave up out of here, before they leave, they see a lot of things. I don't know how we know that, but I don't know. So maybe. Mad Dog says, yeah, most of these woke Negroes was dissing Sean King, talking about he's white. Yeah. And I felt bad for him. I mean, because you could have done some research. It wasn't a lot of research. You could have done some. You could have saw the man was Black. His mama, not to tell her business because he didn't want to do that, but he was forced. His mom had an affair with a Black man. And his dad, who raised him as his dad, was white. But he said everybody in the town knew he was Black. He lived and grew up in Kentucky, very racist area where he was beaten so bad to where, broke his neck and all kind of stuff. And in a police report, they, and different police reports, they labeled him the black kid, right? And a whole host of other documentation. But whatever reason, white supremacy went on, called him a white man, and Black people followed along. See that behind. That's one thing Black people need to unlearn and stop following white supremacy and their foolishness. Because the thing that should have resonated to us is, well, if white folks hate him so bad, what they must be for a reason. I'm not saying the man is perfect. I don't know Sean King. But like I said, I followed him for a long time. But that should have been a red flag to us. White folks hate him so much, and we gonna go right behind him and do the bidding of white supremacy. This man is raising awareness about what's going on. When these other so-called Black leaders are running around here and they not raising awareness, they come to the party after he raised awareness. But we didn't think about that. We didn't connect the dots and say white supremacy want this man gone, and he right. He's Talcum X. We went all right with the talking points, and we never stopped to think. And now this man who was riding for his people, because he is part Black, riding for his people, he off and he's like, Allah Akbar. And that's the great place to be, things to say. God is the greatest, but he is now. And something tells me he's doing that because he had to go find peace, because he talked about it a lot. He says, Black people do it to me the most. He says, I expect it from white folks. He says, but Black people do it to me the most. So now he went off and he's found peace. He's in, Palestine. He's trying to help them about what's going on with them. Y'all know all about that. And he just says, hey, let somebody else do it. And who is that somebody else? Anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I got to go. Stay tuned for everything that's coming up on this channel. Love and appreciate you dearly. I see y'all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time, and on my channel, 5 p.m. Central Time tonight. Peace.